welcome back to my channel. My name is Pi. For those that don't know, I'm going to be reviewing the Traitors UK edition, season 2, episode 1. So this is my first time reviewing this show. I have watched season 1, which I think is an amazing season. Like, it is full of drama, it's super emotional, it's all civilians. So if you've seen the US edition, season 1 and 2, you know that for season 1 US, it's half civilian, half like reality competition gamer type people. And for season 2, it's all like reality, Bravo celebrities, gamers. There's no civilians on season 2 for the USA. So for UK, season 1 was all civilians. Same thing this season, all civilians. So I watched all of the seasons of US, well, both of the seasons, because there's only 2. So I've seen both of the seasons for the US, and I've seen the UK season 1. So I've seen the seasons, but I've never recapped them. So this is my first time doing a recap. I am excited because I love Traitors. Like, I feel like this is the best show that is out right now. So before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like the video. Liking the video just helps push the content out, and it helps the channel grow. So I would really appreciate it if you can like the video for me. Thank you so much to all my subscribers. We're over 100 now. I appreciate it. And if you all can help me get to 200, that's the next goal. I would really, really appreciate it. So share the channel and subscribe. If you're coming back, if you've been watching my Love is Blind reviews and you keep coming back, go ahead and subscribe. That way you don't have to search for my name. You can just get the notifications on your phone anytime I drop a video. So now that we have got that out of the way, let's talk about the premise of the show. So if this is your first time watching the show, or you never seen the show and you just want to see what I'm talking about, the premise of the show is they are in Scotland, and it's 22 contestants. They're in Scotland. They're in this fantastic castle, and they're going to be playing a treacherous and a deadly game of the Traitors. Right? So it's going to be deception and murder. And there's going to be traitors amongst the faithful. So if you're not a traitor, you're a faithful, right? And there's going to be missions that they have to complete to obtain the money. And in the end, whoever is left standing wins the money. So once they complete the missions, they have banishments and murders throughout the season. And like I said, whoever is left wins the money. If the faithfuls are left at the end of the game, then they win. But if there's at least one traitor amongst them, then the traitors, or that traitor, wins. So every night or morning, however it goes, they are going to sit at a round table and banish people out. And they want to banish the traitors out, right? But they got to get down to the final 4. Yeah, the final 4. I think it is 4 or 5. I can't think right now. Yeah, the final 4. So that is the premise of the show, but no one knows who the traitors are. Obviously, only the traitors know, and everyone knows who the faithfuls are. So the faithfuls are on a traitor hunt. So that is the premise of the show, right? So the episode begins with everybody getting to the castle, where they're meeting up at a train station. And there's people from all different ages, different genders and backgrounds and demographics and races, all the above, right? And they're meeting at this train station. And they're getting to know each other. They're getting well acquainted, because you need to try to grasp all the information that you can, because you have a limited amount of time before the game actually starts, right? And usually when the game starts, the people who are picked to be traitors, they just start acting different, right? They don't realize it, but sometimes they do. So they're at the train station and they're getting ready to get to the castle. We see Anthony, we see Paul, Sonia, Ash, Diane, Aubrey, just to name a few. And we're going to get into the contestants a little bit more as the episode goes on. So once they get in these black, I don't know if they were Jeeps or they weren't Hummers, but I don't know if they were Jeeps or what they were. But these black cars, and they pull up to the castle, and everybody is just like gawking over this castle. The castle is beautiful. Like, it's a big, pretty castle. And out comes Claudia. Now, if you've seen the UK version, I'm sorry, if you've seen the US version, you know that Alan is the host of that show. And I love Alan. I like Claudia as well. I love Alan. I feel like Claudia doesn't do the traitors and murder. Like, I feel like she's not as dramatic as Alan is, but she has a really big personality as well. And I really like Claudia a lot. So we see Claudia and she comes out and she's like, welcome to the game. And let me tell you about the game. And she basically goes in and tells them everything that I told you. You know, there's 22 of you all. And in just a moment, I'm going to pick out my traitors. And what do traitors have to do? And she explains that traitors have to be backstabbing and conniving and treacherous and all these things that they, have to do. They have to lie, and they have to, well, they don't steal, but, all these devious things that the traitors have to do. And then she explains what the faithfuls have to do. The faithfuls need to be the most faithful of faithfuls in my Sandra voice. And they have to find the traitors. So everybody has a job to do. And we're going to go in the castle in just a moment. But one thing before we go into this castle, line up for me. And I said, oh my goodness. Now, if you have seen Traitors Season 1 UK edition, because they didn't do this in the US, and I kind of have an idea why they didn't do it in the US, but I'm going to keep that to myself. But she tells them to line up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am having a deja vu moment. I know they're not about to do the same thing that they did last season, because obviously we've all seen it, right? At least most of us. So they get in the line. She said, I want you to line up from the person who feels like they're going to win the most to the person that feels like they're going to win the least. And I'm like, here we go. So they line up. She's like, are you sure? Are you confident? And they're like, yes. And then she says, you think you know the game, but you don't. And she was talking to me because I thought I knew the game. I was like, here we go again, deja vu. And she was like, let's go in. So I said, oh, okay. So they ain't crazy. They know what they're doing. I don't even know why I'm playing with them like that. Like, they know what they're doing. So they go inside the castle because they didn't do what they did in UK. And I don't want to say it because if someone's watching that hasn't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. You know. I thought that's what was going to happen. So anyway, so they go inside and everyone, starts getting more acquainted with each other, right? So while everyone is getting acquainted with each other, Claudia calls everyone in and she's just talking to them and she's just getting a little bit more background on who they are and why do you want to be a traitor, or do you want to be not a civilian, do you want to be a faithful? Do you want to be a traitor? Do you want to be a faithful? If you want to be a traitor, why do you want to be a traitor? And so she asked this one guy, Paul, to give her 3 words that describes him. And he says, I can't remember the 3 words that he says, but I know the last word he said was traitor. And when he said that, I said, oh, he's going to be a traitor. Hands down, he's a traitor. I already know it. So she's talking to everybody. She's getting their, whys and stuff. And then everybody on the outs is talking to one another, trying to, just be a sponge and remember everything that they can about body language and, their backgrounds, because all that stuff plays a part in this game. You got to pay attention. So next we see them and they're sitting at the round table and Claudia comes in and she lets them know, I'm about to pick my traitors. I need you all to put your blindfolds on. The game is about to start. So she walks around and she doesn't tap anybody the first time, right? Because she wants them she wants to try to throw him off. So she walks slowly and she kind of stops amongst some. And she tells them before she does this, if I touch you on your shoulder, that means you are a traitor. Right? You're a traitor. So she walks around, she does a lap, and then she walks around again. She does another lap. And I forgot, before she got started, she said, welcome to the round table. This is a sacred place where traitors and faithfuls can battle it out. So she's walking and she taps Paul number 1. I told y'all, I knew it. I knew it. So Paul was the first one. So I don't think he gives an expression, not that anybody can see because they got their blindfolds on, right? She does another lap. And the second person that she taps is Ash. Ash is this lady. She wants to be a traitor. She said it in her interview. I want to be a traitor. And then the third person that she taps is Harry. I think Harry is an ex-army, not an ex, I'm sorry. He is a engineer, but in the army. Paul is a business manager, and Ash is an events coordinator. Just to give you a background of the people that are now the traitors. So she says, I have selected my traitors. You can now remove your blindfolds. And so they remove their blindfolds, and everyone's like they look and hear that, like they're gonna spot a traitor immediately. And the funny part about that is Diane, who's sitting next to Harry, says, are you okay? Because I feel like I felt your heart was beating out of your chest. This is the older lady. And Harry looks at her, he says, huh? No, I'm fine. What do you mean? You felt my heartbeat? What are you saying? She's like, yes, like I felt it. And then the guy next to Harry, I can't remember what his name is, he was like, oh, that was probably me. And I'm like, this is crazy, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but if you watch Traitors Traitors USA season 2, episode 1, something very similar happened. So, and it's crazy. I'm not gonna say what it is, but it's just like, wow. And so Harry's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, dang, she done clocked this man already. This is bananas. And so she was like, okay. But you know, when that stuff happens, they act like, I ain't gonna think about it, but they're thinking about it. They're like, okay, I got my eyes on you. My eyes on you. You's a traitor. So Claudia lets them know later tonight, the traitors will meet in the turret to learn the identity of the other traitors. And I need to let you know one other thing that's important. There will be no murder tonight, so you can get some rest. But the traitors will recruit someone. The last and final traitor. Well, not final, but the last traitor. So you know they're like, oh Lord, who that's going to be? So immediately, Paul is thinking, who I want to be a traitor? So now it's time for them to have another little soiree so they can, figure out the traitors can figure out who would they like to recruit to be a traitor. And the faithfuls can try to see if they can identify if somebody's acting different, right? And we see Diane, Miss Diane, she's talking to someone and she tells her story about Harry. And I'm like, I said, Miss Diane is already planting seeds. And Harry, I don't know if they were in the same room or not. I couldn't really tell. But he's telling this black girl, I didn't get her name. He's telling her that, man, Miss Diane, she got me like spooked, because she gonna tell me that she felt like, she heard me breathing heavy and if I was okay. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's trying to make it seem like, I'm a traitor, although he didn't say that. Don't ever bring that word up, okay? But we're gonna get into that a little bit later because it seems like people love to do that. So he's just like, it's kind of like got me spooked a little bit. And the girl's like, I mean, that's kind of the nature of this game is to make you second guess everything. And he's like, yeah, I guess you got a point. So next we see the clock. Well, we hear the clock strike. And that's the indication that it's time for bed. Now, the difference between the UK version and the US version is, I say US version. The US version is they actually go to sleep. They don't really, but it shows them going to sleep in the US version in the castle. But for the UK version, it doesn't. I don't understand why that happens. If anybody knows the answer, could y'all please tell me below? Because why they do that? I was like, oh, they don't stay in the castle because I think I saw the US version. Yeah, I watched the US version first, US season 1. And I saw them going to bed and, going to sleep, fake pretending to go to sleep in the castle. And then when I saw the UK version, I see them leaving. I'm like, well, why they don't go to sleep in the castle? Well, come to find out, I saw an interview and I forgot who it was, but somebody, they said in the interview, we don't stay in the castle and it's cold in the castle anyways. So that was a bummer to find out. So all the faithfuls leave and they go back to their living quarters. And now it is time for the traitors to meet with Claudia and take the traitor's oath. They got to take the oath and they get their cloak. Once they take their oath, they go into the turret and they have their hoods down on their cloak. And, it has to be dramatic and they pull it back. And it's Paul and it's Harry and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. Like, wow. I never would have imagined, like, you know what I'm saying? You weren't giving traitor vibes at all. And they're like, oh, they're both like, that's good, that's good, that's good. I didn't get it from you. You didn't get it from me. We're good to go. So next thing you know, you hear a knock on the door. And it's the third traitor coming in. And it's Ash. Ash is coming in. She's got her hoodie on. And they're just standing there with their heads down like this, but they don't have the. I was like, why don't y'all have your? Why are y'all standing there like this? Y'all should at least put the thing. If you're gonna have your head down, put the freaking thing over your head. Like y'all, producers, y'all wrong for that. Y'all could have told them people to do that. They looked so crazy. And so then when she came in, they put their heads up. I'm like, she can see you. But anyway, so she's like, oh my God. So she said she was very, 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 very. She said like 5 berries. I'm very, 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 very happy that you are part of the team. And I think that we have a really good team. And so Harry says, well, now what? And they're like, we gotta recruit somebody. So who do we want to get? So Paul starts to go down the list and he says that we need a really good, strong person in here. And Ash says, but we need someone who is going to be good and strong, but we got to weigh the pros and the cons. We got to look at everything. So Paul says, Miles, Sonia, and Andrew are the people that he brings up. He says Miles has a very good influence on the house. A lot of people like him. He noticed that. See, that's what he was doing when they were all talking, right? Paying attention to everybody in the beginning. And he says that Sonia is smart. He says he sees Andrew as a threat, but he doesn't have any type of bond with him. And I'm thinking, you see him as a threat, so do you really want him to be in the turret? Because I think he asked them something like, do they feel like he feels like he's like number one, like head honcho? And both of them literally, what's her name? Ash and Harry both said yes. And I'm like, you got to be careful because you're going to have to throw him under the bus early. Like you can't let him get to the end unless he, becomes too obvious and they find him out. he said Miles was an influencer. Sonya said, not Sonya, I'm sorry. Ash said, but will he throw us under the bus? So I love the way that they're thinking. They're being very careful and strategic and thinking these things through before they make their decisions. So Harry drops a bomb and says, well, I was thinking about Diane. And he tells them the story. He was like, I think she clocked me. Paul's like, yeah? He said, yeah, when I took my blindfold off, she asked me, was I okay or whatever. I was thinking, maybe we could recruit her. He was like, maybe I'm overthinking it. And Paul's like, yeah, maybe you are overthinking it. He was like, or we could recruit her and then we can use her. I said, that's good thinking. That's good thinking, because if she comes for you, what you can do is you can flip it on her, because you already got 3 votes. You got Ash, you have you have 2 votes. Well, yours would be the 3rd. So you have Ash, you have Paul, and you have yourself. So if push came to shove, you have at least those 3. And then if you have a good enough case against her, you can vote her out and boom, we got a traitor. So that was good thinking on his part. I like that. So Claudia comes in and they say they have decided who they're going to recruit. They hand her the letter. We see Claudia walking down the hallway, super dramatic. She hands the letter to the person and says, you've been recruited. Who did they recruit? So it was out of Diane, Miles, Sonya, and Andrew. It's too early to really call it. I'm going to say I feel like it would not be good to recruit Andrew. I feel like if Andrew is this big old head honcho type of guy, he's going to have a big mouth, so he could be a shield. So they can just use him as a shield and keep him around. Now, Sonya, they say that Sonya is smart. They could recruit her, but I feel like she's kind of in the same category as Andrew. I feel like Miles would be really good to recruit. I feel like he's really laid back, so he would be a really good person for them to recruit. And of course, Diane, like I just said, and what Harry said, they can throw her under the bus, right? Because if she comes for him, he can automatically come back for her. Boom. If he has the numbers, he can get her on up out of there, right? Because he's already planted that seed with the black girl. So that's another vote. So that's 4. There's 22 people, but that's 4, right? So depending on how, it depends on how things go at that round table, really determines who gets banished. So if I have to guess, I'm going to say they recruited Miles. I feel like they should have recruited Miles. So I'm going to say Miles. I'm going to say either Miles or Sonya. Those are my 2 that I'm going to say. We shall see soon. So the next scene, we see them show up for breakfast. Everyone shows up. Everyone's super happy and excited. And how did you sleep last night? Of course, everybody, I felt good. There was no murder. Why wouldn't I? But we're ready today. So who do y'all think, not who, how many traitors do y'all think there are? And do you know that Paul gonna say 3? Why are you even answering questions? You should be paying attention. You should not be answering questions, sir. The only thing you should be doing is shaking your head and agreeing at this point. You should not be the first one opening up your mouth. And so someone else says, I think it's like 2 and they're going to recruit one. He was like, yeah, that's what I meant. There's 2 and then they're going to recruit one. You're doing too much. Zip it. So then we see Sonya is leaning over the table and she straight up asks Ash, are you a traitor? And Ash is like, huh? Now the first time she said, huh, I don't know if she did that, huh? You know how somebody asks you a question and you be like, huh? Because you like, I know they just didn't ask me that. So I'm going to act like I ain't hear nothing. Uh-huh. What you say? And she was like, are you a traitor? And then she was like, huh? Like she literally said it like 4 times. Ash's like, I can't hear you. Girl, just answer the question, because at this point, she's getting louder and louder. You don't want to draw attention to, are you a traitor? However, why are y'all asking people, are they traitors? This was giving Deja Peppermint Vu. All over again. calling people out as traitors before the game even gets going good. Like, y'all gotta stop doing that. Then we see her in a confessional and she was like, she thought that I was serious. I was only playing. We don't play like that. Don't play like that. Please don't play like that. Don't call me no traitor. I don't even care if you're like asking me and you're joking. Just don't play like that. It's not funny at all. The wrong person can hear it, and that's all we need for somebody to be banished into eternity. Right? That's it. So now they're talking about the mission because it's almost time to go on the first mission. And a lot of them are like, I think it's going to be water. I'm pretty sure it's going to be water. And so we see Johnny and he's like, well, if it is water and y'all see me out there swimming around in a circle, it's because I have one leg. And they're like, oh, wow, dang, if you don't mind. I think it was Miles. He was like, what happened? And he said that he was in the service. He was in Afghanistan. I think he said he was 24. He was either 21 or 24. I think he was 24 years old. And he was driving in the car, and I guess there was explosives in the car. The car flipped, and it blew up. And, he said, like, he's grateful to be here, but, of course, he has good days. He has bad days. And that's what happened. It just reminds me that on last season in UK, there was a lady with one arm, and I don't really remember the story of what happened with her. I can't remember. I want to say it was explosive too, but I'm not sure. And then there's another girl on this season. Her name is Molly. She has one hand. So I love that they don't discriminate. I love that. They get in the cars and they're driving to the mission. And of course, it is out at a big cold lake and it's by the water. Who would have thought? So the mission is one that we've seen before. What they have to do is they have to get these beacons that are in the lake, and they have to put them together. It's a puzzle, basically. There's a puzzle that they have to put together. So to determine what puzzle they have to put together, they have to find the map. The map is on the other side in a bottle, and they have to find the map. Claudia tells them they have 40 minutes to do this. There is $15,000 at stake, or 15 pounds, whichever you prefer. And there are 2 shields in the lake and one on land. And she says this season, because I don't think they had shields last season in the UK version. I don't think they did. Yeah, so they didn't have shields. And so she tells them, go and stand by a pole, and that will be your starting point. So when they get to the pole, she was like, oh, I forgot to mention, you're going to be tied up on this pole. And they're like, what? So they tie them up, and now it's time for the mission to start. The first person that was able to get loose was Molly. Remember, I told y'all Molly has one hand. So she's like, I have one hand, y'all. I told y'all it was a good thing to have one hand. So she was the first one out. And thank God she was not selfish. She turned right around and started untying the next person. Then we see some other people getting loose, and everybody's untying everybody, and they're coming up with a plan. If you're scared of water, you can't swim, go off and find the map. If you're good at swimming and rowing the boats, get in the boats and go out to get the puzzle pieces. If you're good with if you can't swim and you don't really like the water, you can help put the puzzles together. So they're putting a plan together while they're untying it. I love how they are coming together. The teamwork here is great. Loving it, loving it, loving it. However, speaking of teamwork, we see Kyra, soon as she gets untied, boom, she's off. Baby sees a shield and she's gone. She goes and gets the shield. Can't blame her. There was a lot of people untied, so I don't really blame her. She's like, I'm terrified of being murdered, so I am off to get the shield. So she runs to get the shield, right? And then we see Kyra and Andrew are looking for the map. Kyra finds the map. Like, baby is fast. I mean, it seemed like it was fast. Maybe it wasn't, but it really did seem like it was fast. Like, she found that map super fast. She's like, I got the map. What is it? What is it? Andrew's looking. It's like it's a shield. So the map is a shield. So they have the map. Now all they got to do is take the map back over to the boat, so they can get in the boat, so they can go out to where the beacons are, so they can put the puzzle together. So they're rowing. Everybody's rowing. They're trying to get out there. When I tell y'all, I'm not gonna get them too much because if I was in this situation, I know that I probably would not be able to row a boat. I've never rowed a boat before, so I totally get it. They were struggling. They really were. It was the green boat more than anything, and there was this guy in the green boat named Anthony, and he was like, "Wait, okay, wait, which way I go? Oh, Lord, okay, all right, turn." They were just like going in circles, and somebody else in the boat was like, "Somebody send some help! We need help!" They were struggling. I don't even think we saw them actually get to the puzzle piece that they had to get. Like, it was bad for them. So as one of the other boats is coming back, Jazz is in this boat. Jazz sees a shield in the water. Jazz like it was like he was asking permission. I see a shield over there, and I think I kind of want to go and get that shield. Okay, I told y'all what I'm gonna do. I'm going to get the shield. Now, like, it was so funny. So he goes and gets the shield. He jumps in the water, he gets the shield, and then he's trying to swim back to the boat. And it's like, oh, you thought we was going to let you back in this boat? No, we're not letting you back in this boat. You can swim you can swim the rest of the way. And they did not let that man back in that boat. I was like, dang. So at this moment, Claudia is screaming, "You have 10 minutes! 10 minutes!" And then she looks to us and says, "They have 7 pieces. There's 5 more that they have to get. I don't know. Are they going to do it? Do we think they're going to be able to get this money?" I'm like, oh my goodness. You start getting anxious, right? Like, y'all need to get on it. Come on, let's go, let's go. You can't fail the first mission, right? Now they have 5 minutes to get it together, and everybody is screaming, "No, go this way. No, put the thing this way. Go up. No, down. Move. Don't put it." I'm like, this is crazy because Ash and Kyra, they were 2 of the people who were scared of water. Like, I guess they can't swim. So they were on top of one of the beacons trying to direct them direct them how to put the puzzle together. But it just wasn't working because too many people were yelling. Like, it was too many chefs in the kitchen. Somebody needed to get out. It only needed to be one. Finally, they get the shield together, and they have 1 minute left. And Claudia's like, "Everybody out of the water! You can't hit the detonator until everybody's out of the water. Swim back to the shore. Swim back to the shore." Man, when I tell you these people were so far from the shore, there's no way. You cannot convince me that they swim from that puzzle back to the shore in 1 minute. But we see them swim to the shore, and they hit the detonator, and it explodes, and woo! We won the 15,000. Yes, 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 yes. Everybody's excited. They got their money. Woo, 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 woo. Hey. So when they get back to the shore, Claudia lets them know that all 3 shields were obtained. You do not have to tell if you got the shield or not, but if you want to tell, you can. So Kyra is like the first person to raise her hand, and I forgot to mention that Harry had, when he was trying to put the puzzle together, he was saying, because Diane has this little bit of suspicion on him, to throw her game off of him, he wanted to swim to get the shield so that way it doesn't look like he's a traitor, because why would a traitor need a shield? Like, duh. So Kyra raises her hand. I have a shield. Harry raises his hand, and Jazz raises his hand. So now they know who all has the shield. They didn't have to tell that, but they did. So now they're walking back to their cars, and Zach says, "It would be a nice sleep if you can sleep without fear." And I think her name is Avi. Avi says, "Well, why wouldn't you sleep without fear?" And he was like, "Stop putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that." Why would you joke like that? These people joke and play too much. This stuff is going to come back and bite you in the ass if you don't stop playing and joking around like that. So they're in the cars and they're driving back to the castle, and everybody is just talking about, the mission. They're recapping, saying how they felt like everybody did a great job, and, basically saying, is it really like settling in that somebody is going to get murdered later? Like, are y'all really realizing that, coming out of mission mode and now, like, wow, it's time, it's murder time. Someone was in the car, and they brought up Anthony and how horrible he was in that boat. See, that's why you got to be careful. People be watching everything, everything, and they were like, "Oh, okay." And I think someone said, I mean, like to his defense, like that was his first time doing it. So they're back at the castle and they're having dinner, and Andrew is talking about, you have to kind of. He says, what I'm doing is I'm trying to think of what would a traitor do, and so Sonya says, well, what would you do? What are you thinking? And he's like, I mean, I really don't have much to go off of, just, what we've witnessed today. So I don't know if there's some seeds he's trying to plant there, other than the obvious with the comment that Zach has made and about Andrew, playing not so well. But Miss Diane, I don't know why I'm calling that lady Miss Diane. Miss Diane is just sitting back and she's just observing everything. She's just like this. Baby is lurking. She is watching everything. Body language, words, everything. Who you're talking to, all of that. She's observing all of that. So Zach tells Anthony to his face, I hear you were having some trouble in that boat. And Anthony is like, I wasn't having any trouble in that boat. Who said that? Like, that was my first time ever being in a boat. Like, that was my first time. Like, and Zach was like, oh, word just travels fast. And he was like, interesting, interesting. Yeah, that was my first time being in a boat. Like, that's very interesting. And Zach's like, I mean, if I said it in a way to make you feel some type of way, like, that's not how I meant it. So if it came out that way, that's not how it was meant. And Anthony's like, very interesting. I was like, you need to take it down because everybody's watching. You see Miles looking at him in this moment, and Miles is in his confessional saying, like, I'm just sitting back, watching, paying attention to everyone. He was like, my goal is to be low key and fly under the radar. And anyone that's watched these games, we know that being low key and flying under the radar is good to an extent. You have to make sure that if the game is changing and everybody is starting to change or become suspicious of you, if you're a traitor, and even if you aren't a traitor, that you are, being social and throwing ideas and names and stuff out there. You can't just be too vocal. That has been the detriment of other people's games in this, in the Traitors. So I'm hoping that Miles isn't too laid back. So Sonya asks Ross, she's sitting in a room full of people, and she asks Ross, hey, Ross, come here again. Who was that made that statement about them sleeping easy tonight? And he was like, oh, that was Zachy boy. And everybody was like, what? Why? Oh, my God, why would he say that? I was like, do you see how many people are in here? How many seeds have been planted? There was at least about a good 6 or 7. So I feel like half of the castle knows that which he did say it out loud when they were walking to the car when they're leaving from the mission. But sometimes people don't like really pay attention to stuff like that. It just goes over their head. They're tired after they've been rowing a boat and looking for a map and swimming, doing all this stuff. Like, they're not even focusing on that. But now that everybody's like in chill mode and like this is what they're really doing, is trying to figure out who is a traitor, everybody has their antennas up. So there was like a good 5 or 6 people that were in that room. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I think that Zach's name is definitely going to be brought up at Roundtable, and Anthony's name. And I think Harry's may come up. I hope not, because I would not want them to get a traitor out so freaking fast, or either suspicion on a traitor so fast. Like, no, because remember, y'all, there's been 2 different occasions today, or not today, well, today in this review, that traitors have had, someone ask them about being a traitor indirectly. So that's not good. We see Sonya in her confessional say, my natural inclination is to be devious, tricky, and malicious. I may have forgotten or omitted that from my fellow players. I said, ooh, so she a little messy something. I don't know if she would be a good pick for a traitor. So I am very, very um anxious to see if they decide to pick her as a traitor. I can't wait. So before the clock strikes, what, 12? I never paid attention to the hour, but the clock strikes before it does. Ash asks Aubrey if he has any idea of who a traitor is. And he says, yes, absolutely. And she's like, wait, what? And he was like, yes. And she's like, wait, how? He's like, I pay attention. I pay attention to everything. I pay attention to body language. I pay attention to this. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, these UK people they are on it. I ain't gonna say they own spot, like, because we haven't gotten that far yet, but they show up and they are ready to play the game. Like, they are some gamers that aren't gamers, if that makes sense. They aren't professional gamers, but they're gamers. So I was like, oh snap, I cannot wait to hear who he thinks is a traitor. And then the clock strikes 12. Boom! So of course, once the clock strikes, it's time for bed. And we see Claudia in I don't know where they meet at, but it's somewhere in a dark place. She's talking to she's talking to the recruited traitor, and they're taking the traitor oath, and she's giving them their cloak, and the episode goes off. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Traitors, y'all have got to stop doing this. Peacock, y'all have got to stop doing this. Y'all are going to give me a myocardial infarction, okay? And for those that don't know, that is a heart attack. Y'all have got to stop this. Like, no, 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 no. Don't leave us hanging like that. So I'm excited to see who they're going to pick to be the recruited traitor. Who do y'all think they're going to pick? What do y'all think about the first episode? I think this was a very good first episode. I love the cast. I love that it's all civilians and there's just no one famous. So I feel like it's kind of like more so an even playing field. I can't wait to see who got recruited and who's going to be murdered, because it's going to be the first murder tonight. Well, whenever the traitor gets in there with the rest of them, it's going to be the first, they're going to commit their first murder. So I cannot wait to see that. I can't wait to see the reactions at breakfast the next morning. I think this is going to be a really good season, and I can't wait. Can't wait to review it and talk about it with you guys. So that's pretty much the video, y'all. Don't forget to like the video before you get up out of here if you haven't already done so. Leave some comments down below. Like I said, I want to know your opinions. Is it too early to ask who your favorite is? I don't really have a favorite just yet. Like I said, I like everyone. Nobody really rubbed me the wrong way. I do have my eye on a couple of people, like Miss Diane. Girl, I am watching you because you are something else. And that Miss Sonia. Those two ladies are something else. I can't wait to see if they're gonna remain faithfuls and just how they play the game. Like, this is one of my favorite shows right now. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe, make sure you hit that bell so when I drop the next recap, it'll notify you. I am gonna drop the next one tomorrow. So make sure you have your notifications on so we can discuss. And until the next time, bye.